everybody and welcome to a video. Today is the 20th anniversary of Pokemon, and without Pokemon I wouldn't be here today. So I'm going to tell you all my top 10 Pokemon. Before we begin, I'm just going to say any photos used in this are all from Google Images. I don't own any of them, none of them are mine. Also, these are my own personal opinions. These aren't the Pokemon that are competitively the best, the Pokemon that have the best movesets, the Pokemon that have the best abilities, the Pokemon that have the best stats. It's just the Pokemon that in general I like a lot. And I've probably forgotten a Pokemon. So if you think that either I've forgotten a Pokemon or you want to say your own top 10 Pokemon, make sure to write them down in the comment section below. And also, for this video, I've excluded starters and legendaries just because they're their own separate lists. I mean, they're already what? 3 times 6 is 18 different starters. That's, I mean, probably half the list will be starters, and then the other half will be legendaries. Anyway, coming in at number 10 is Beedrill. I know, it's a weak Pokemon that probably won't stay in your party until after the 3rd or 4th gym. For most of my playthroughs, I've never used it that long. But I'm also probably wrong there. You could, I guess, use it. And its Mega Evolution is quite good, because obviously, it's a Mega Evolution. It's quite metagame stuff, and well, not exactly, but you know what I mean. And hopefully that should make it a bit more popular and a bit better. But the main reason I like its design... is its design. But I just generally like it. I think it's a very cool Pokemon, it's a very cool idea, and it was one of the first. So it's not like all the copies, like, Honeycomb, or whatever it is. Combee, that's it. Or Combi, I never really know what to call it. But yeah, I also think I've actually won the league with it in my party, so it's not completely useless. At number 9 is Ninjask. Yes, another bee/wasp type Pokemon. It is one of my key Pokemon in Alpha Sapphire. It's always on my team and I love using it. Speed boosts means you can always get the first move. Well, most of the time. So even if someone can one-hit knock KO you, you can at least do a bit of damage. And especially if you have the right move, you could maybe even take out half the health or something. I know that it's not the best at a lot of other things, and its move pool isn't too... It doesn't have too many different sort of types moves it can use, but with a bit of love, it can really help. Like, seriously, I had this from the start, and one of the best reasons it's useful is because you can just... It also learns quite a few of the TMs. I think it learns Cut, of Fly, and Rock Smash, so it's really useful, because, especially early game, those moves are alright, so if you get it in time, then it's okay. Number 8, Jolteon. I really like Jolteon's design. It has a great speed and special attack, which I think makes it a very good electric type. They're sort of these Pokemon that I call strikers. You'll see another one of them on my list, and I'll point it out. But it's basically a Pokemon that has a move where it can go first and hopefully do a lot of damage. And I think Jolteon's sort of one of those Pokemon, because it has quite a fast speed, and it's got special attack, which means its electric attacks better. Its abilities aren't great, really. I think, you've got Volt Absorb and Quick Feet, which are fairly useful, but I think that you don't sort of come up against... Certainly most people wouldn't use an electric type attack against a Jolteon enough for it to be very useful, unless you sort of went through a whole playthrough using a Jolteon. And Quick Feet is useful, but it's not like it gets rid of the ability or anything, and a 50% speed boost or whatever to a Pokemon that's already going to outspeed a lot of Pokemon isn't too useful. Anyway, that's number 8, Jolteon. Number 7 is Nidorino. You're probably wondering why not Nidoking. But why is just because if you evolve it too early, Nidoking can't learn Horn Attack. And that's something that I'm sure a lot of people have accidentally done. I've never done it because A, I've never really played through Kanto, and B, even if I have, I've never actually used a Nidorino really, or a Nidoran at all, but I've recently sort of fallen in love with it, and I think it's really cool. And yeah, all of these Pokemon, actually, I should point out, it's more about the whole evolution line, but it's sort of my favourite one out of all the evolutions. And the fact that Nidoking can't learn Horn Attack just annoys me for some reason, but I really love the whole evolution line. Just good Pokemon. And number 6, on the topic of Horn Attacks, Heracross. Its type defenses aren't great, its stats are okay, and I never really liked its Mega Evolution, but I just love Heracross. In the anime, it was great, and I know I've already said this at the start, but I should remind you that a lot of these Pokemon are just based on looks, or my personal experiences with them, or just how I rank them personally. And I really like Heracross, and I just think it's really cool. I love it. I think the aesthetic, I think the idea, and a lot of these, the main thing is the idea behind it. I mean, Beedrill, Jolteon, Heracross, all sort of more the ideas behind them than the actual Pokemon itself, like how it is in the games. But yeah. Number 5, Metagross. Another Pokemon that sits on my Alpha Sapphire team. A great moveset for a great Pokemon with a great Mega Evolution, a great Shiny, and being the Champion's Key Pokemon, there's no reason not to like this. I really liked it, and especially since I got the event one, which was Shiny and with Holdback, it made catching Pokemon at that point of the game very easy. It can hold its own against almost all other Pokemon, mainly because it's a pseudo-legendary, but it's just in general a really fantastic Pokemon. I love it, and even though you could say it's a bit OP, especially with just, everything, I still think it's great. I love it. In at number 4 is Luxray. Through the whole 4th generation, so that's Diamond, Pearl, and Soul Silver, those are the 3 games I played out of the 4th generation. Luxray was almost always my main Pokemon, and for almost all of my playthroughs, he was on my team. He even took out Jasmine in Johto, which was the hardest gym leader for me, and to think that with the whole Sandstorm thing, he was at a bit of a disadvantage. But it was just generally a great Pokemon, and competitively, I think it can work. All of its abilities are useful, with Intimidate being the worst, and the thing is, for just the longest time, probably like 5, no, not that much, like 3-4 years of my life, Shinx, Luxio, and Luxray, they were my 3 favourite Pokemon. Whenever I said anything about Pokemon, I always talked about them, and that's still stuck with me. I still think they're really cool Pokemon. And at number 3, a Pokemon that practically wins all of my Pokemon X battles for me, Garchomp. It absolutely dominates. It's another pseudo-legendary which has incredibly awesome abilities and a great move pool. There is no way you can't want to use this Pokemon at all. It is fantastic. It absolutely dominates. And next is something that, given the rest of the Pokemon on the list, especially in the last 3, you might be a bit surprised. At number 2 is Swinub. Yeah, I'm dead. I feel the subscribers going down. But I know what you're thinking. Pokemon which isn't even evolved at all. It's weak to all the starters, and just generally fairly common types. And if you have Thick Fat, it's slightly better. Ice does slightly less damage to it, I think, and Fire just does normal damage instead of special 2 times. But I love the whole evolution line, but Swinub wins out of all 3 of them because of its cuteness. I just love it, even if it's not that great in battle. It can, especially once you evolve it, it can hold its own pretty much, and I just really like it. And now we have honourable mentions. There are actually 10 honourable mentions, but you think there are 721 Pokemon, and that's still only like 690 or whatever, without the starters and legendaries. So yeah, there are going to be a lot of Pokemon that just missed out on making the list. Palpitoad is the first honourable mention. These aren't in any order. Pancham after, then Aegislash, then Pumpkaboo, then Drapion, then Axew, then Lapras, then Krabby, then Gardevoir, and finally Doniphan. But now for the moment you've all been waiting for, my number 1 Pokemon, and my favourite Pokemon of all time is, drumroll please, drumroll everyone, we gotta have a drumroll in here. Magikarp, 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 Magikarp. It's actually Umbreon, don't worry. Magikarp is not in my top 10 Pokemon anywhere, not even in the honourable mentions. I love Umbreon's design, it's just so goddamn, like, atmospheric. I mean, seriously, and since it's, like, the circles and stuff, maybe not in the actual lore, but people often draw it, like, illuminating them, because it has flash, so I guess, technically, it's just, can you imagine that? Just, you're walking through the woods or something at night, and you just see, like, this glowing yellow circle with 2 other yellow circles glowing. It's so flipping cool. Its abilities are useful. Its stats aren't the best, but they're not terrible. Its move pool is good. And I also have a hoodie that looks like it, and I just love wearing my hoodie. Even if people think I'm strange, I wear it all the time. I absolutely love it. Now we have got to the end of the video, but quickly, I can't believe I didn't put this Pokemon on my list. I actually only realised that I hadn't put it on after writing all of the script, and I did, like, edit the script. I'm not just making this up on the spot. I think there must have been a Pokemon that I probably put in it instead of it, because I thought about this, like, earlier, and I think it might have been Nidorino that I replaced with this, but it was probably, like, higher up the list than that. Anyway, forget all that. Gengar. Great Pokemon, great moves, great abilities, great Mega Evolution, great Shiny. Just like, the other one, Metagross. I love it, I use it a lot, it's on my Pokemon X team, it's really useful, and I just use it a ton. I really like it. Anyway, thanks for watching, remember to like, share, and subscribe. Why don't you make sure to tell me your favourite Pokemon down in the comments section below. Goodbye. That's not my outro. Bye.